Hi there. Hello and welcome. My name is Colton Carter, and I'm going to be your TA for Chem E-17 Principles of Organic Chemistry this fall. This is just a little introduction video to say hi, introduce myself a little bit, and give some advice, resources, things. Um, here you'll find kind of my contact info and when our section time is going to be and when our help room hours are going to be. They are going to be via Zoom, so I'll kind of show how to get to that from the course page. But there's a QR code up here that if you can just scan, it's just gonna let me know who's watched this, and then also I'm gonna ask some get to know you kind of questions and tell you a little bit about myself. And I want to hear a little bit about y'all. Um, scan the QR code, and then I'll just get into it. So, hi, hello, brave souls taking organic chemistry online, which I know is a lot. Organic chemistry has quite a reputation, but I'm here to say that while it's a little scary, it's not that scary. I think people kind of blow it out of the water. I will say it's some hard work though, so it's not going to be a class that comes as easily. It's not going to be purely memorization based like some other courses like bio. It's also not exactly like a math class where you can kind of learn an algorithm that's going to work every time. It's just a little bit of a tricky new type of skill and type of information to learn, which is why I think a lot of people find it so difficult. I will say I really like the teaching with Harvard and Harvard's way of teaching general organic chemistry and general chemistry as well. If any of you had Greg Tucci, he was my chemistry advisor for undergrad, and he's wonderful. Serenia, the professor for this course, is really, really lovely. I have only worked with her once before, but I really like the way that she lectures, how she connects with students. I think that she's phenomenal. And so I think that she is a great person to be kind of leading the ship here for taking organic chemistry. So I have some introduction questions. Normally I would do this in person in our first section, but because we're all remote via Zoom, and also because the sections are a little bit shorter than the ones I normally give. Normally I give 90-minute sections, and this is a 75-minute section, and the format's just going to be a little bit different. We might not have time to do a full kind of round robin around the classroom in our first Zoom. We may still do some of this, but these questions are the ones that are going to be in the Google form of just who are you, where are you from, where are you at in your education. I know a lot of y'all are extension school students who are doing the post-bac program for pre-med. So if you are in that program, let me know how far along in the program you are in. But there are also Harvard College students who take this because it's often in the evening and more flexible. Occasionally there are high school students. So just let me know where you're at in your education. And then why are you taking this class? Is it pre-med requirements? Is this something that you think that you might enjoy? Do you want to major in chemistry, or do you just have a self-torture streak? So maybe I will start off by saying a little bit about myself. So I have a whole little slide. My gosh. My name's Colton. I live in Athens, Georgia, which is a big college football town. Today, when I'm recording this on August 30th, it's actually game day in Georgia, which is my cue to stay home and avoid all the traffic and everything. I am a Virgo. I take any pronouns. I'm non-binary. I did my undergrad at Harvard, so I graduated in the class of 2020 or 2021. COVID things were weird and kind of delayed it. And they sent me out a PDF of my degree. So now I have a photo on my computer that's my Harvard degree, I guess, .jpg. But I majored in chemistry and music. So I was always doing kind of a little Hannah Montana, best of both worlds with humanities things and STEM things. When I was in undergrad, I did a lot of working on musicals, and that was mostly with music directing and conducting shows. And I still see a lot of musical theater now, or see a lot of theater now. I have a dog, Daisy, who's very sweet, who you can see here. Um, she might make appearances since we are doing Zoom teaching and I'm teaching from home. But what am I doing in my life? I primarily work as like a math and science tutor, mostly for high school and college students here in the area where I live. And I'm also taking some classes at the University of Georgia, which is nearby where I live. So I'm really close to completing another bachelor's in mathematics, and a few classes away from doing another bachelor's in biochemistry. I'm kind of working on vocal performance things, singing in some choirs and doing diction and lessons. The short of it is just I really like school. Right now I'm taking a few grad classes. I'm taking a grad mathematics class and a few grad music theory classes and intro accounting, just as kind of like my odd hodgepodge of things. I am also a caretaker for my dad, so this is a picture of him, Stan the man. He worked in radio for most of his life, and with caretaking for him, I'm also running the radio stations. So there was a lot going on, and also I very much know the grind of like working and being a student. So if that is something that you relate with, let me know and we can go through it together. This is my first year TAing for Chem E-17, the class that y'all are in. But actually, I've been teaching with Harvard for 7 years now. So typically the course that I work on is Chem S17, which is the same course that y'all are doing E17, but shoved into 7 weeks over the summer. So I'm used to teaching this in kind of a like a shotgun approach of like a lot's happening very quickly. There are 2 lectures per week. And I'm excited to see what it's like doing it in the fall semester where we have a little bit more space and things are spread out a little bit more. So yeah. Many of you already know this because you've taken classes with Harvard before, but just for those who don't, what is section? So discussion sections are a chance for us to kind of review and practice material. Notably, we are not going to be teaching you anything new in sections. The way I've typically done sections in the past is I do kind of a mixture of content review and then practice. And some of the practice will come from problem sets or practice problems. And I really like having sections be a balance of content review and practice, just because I feel like if we jump into practice without any like preparation or preamble, a lot of the material from lecture just doesn't stick after like a few days. So I like to kind of refresh that before jumping into problems. I was also the girl at Harvard who did not attend sections, especially when they were optional, mostly just because I found it really inaccessible. Like I found that it just kind of jumped into things or assumed I knew things that I didn't. And so when I teach section, I try to keep that in mind. So with that, section's not mandatory, but I am going to take attendance with these little QR codes, even if it's watching the video afterwards, which is totally a fine way to participate if you can't attend synchronously. It just helped me to see kind of like student engagement as we go along. I imagine y'all are my like little Orgo ducklings, and I'm like the little duck mother wanting to like make sure none of the little ducklings fall off into a crag and like get eaten by a predator or something. But my pitch for section is like, the only thing I'm paid to do is make learning organic chemistry easier for y'all in terms of like making resources, in terms of thinking about how to present this. And also I've been doing this for like 7 or 8 years. And so I feel like I've seen a lot of what students struggle with this content. So I think I can help. So come to section. The best way to communicate with me is via email, colton.harvard.chem@gmail.com. It's a .gmail because Harvard will like shut down your email account in like periods where you are not working with them. So I would always teach in the summer, and then in the fall they would shut down the email and then I would have to reactivate it and everything. So I said, I'm just going to make my own. I try to have a pretty like good response time for emails. Like 24 hours or so, but if ever I don't respond, feel free to just send like a little bump. Do not message me through Canvas, preferably, just because I don't see those messages. I don't get notifications for them. So yeah, just use that email. Some resources that I want to share. So one is your TF. So feel free to like email me with any content problems or questions that as you're going through things. But sometimes email is like not the best way to talk through a concept. Like sometimes it'll be easier just to like verbally go through things. And so I will certainly be answering questions in Help Room and like trying to do that. Navigating Help Room via Zoom, we'll see how it goes. Normally, I like for Help Room to be really collaborative where students help each other. And so maybe we'll try to use some breakout rooms with that. And then I will obviously be answering questions too. I'll also be attending most of the lectures via Zoom. Again, since I am in Georgia, I too am going to be like very virtual. But feel free to like message me questions in the class, like Zoom, if you're watching the Zooms. And then, yeah, I think that's most of what I have to say on that. There's also Help Room, which is our class's version of office hours. My Help Room times are going to be right after section. So our section is going to be 6 to 7:15 on Tuesdays, and Help Room will be 7:30 to 8:45. And again, it's a time and space to come ask questions, to work on PSET with your peers. And I believe, I should double check this, but I believe you're allowed to attend any sections. So like you can also attend some of the other TF sections. And theirs, I believe, will be in person. I think mine's the only Zoom one. But generally, the idea is like we're all a team. We're all trying to help you. For things to get for this course, there's not really a like textbook, but one thing I do want to point your attention to are these two books that I think are really solid, and they were really pivotal for helping me learn organic chemistry for the first time. And they are David Klein's Organic Chemistry as a Second Language books. There are two books, one's first semester topics and the other one's second semester topics. And the way that Harvard teaches organic chemistry is very different from other schools. Like a traditional state school treatment of organic chemistry goes in a pretty specific order, and Harvard does a very different order. So one thing I've included here is a concordance table that matches up the lectures that we have for our course with the topics, like the chapters in these two books. So like you'll see lecture 3 here does semester 2 topics in chapters 6.1 through 4 and 6.7. Lecture 4 does chapters 6 and 7 in the semester 1 topics, and then we go back to semester 2. So we really kind of hop around between the two books here. You can find them online pretty easily if you want. You can also buy them, and you can buy an old edition too, and I think that you can get some for as cheap as like $15. But again, like these were the books that really got me through OChem 2 when I first took it. So I really, really like them. They essentially break down organic chemistry into really like simple, easy to follow language and focus on concrete skills and building up those skills. Another thing to potentially get is a molecular model kit. Now, model kits, essentially they're like chemistry Legos. But especially for lecture 4, we're going to be doing something called stereochemistry, which is talking about like the 3D structure of molecules. And it's something that's really hard to see without a physical manifestation of it. And so you can buy a molecular model kit on Amazon for like $20. And I think it's really worth it. In past versions of the course that I've worked on, model kits were allowed on exams. I'm not sure if they will be for us now. That's something that I will ask about and kind of regroup with some of the other course staff. But I would highly recommend a molecular model kit of some sort. The last thing that I'm putting a QR code down here for is for my section videos from this past summer when I was teaching Chem E-17, the summer version. So it will take you to a YouTube playlist, and these are my like 90-minute sections. These, I think the content's going to be about a 90% match. There are going to be some slight details that might be different in this presentation here in the fall versus the summer, but largely they are going to be very, very similar. And I'm not sure how much of my normal kind of section structure I'm going to keep for E-17. Again, it's a new kind of class, a new approach. Generally speaking, the way that I do my sections, though, is I have like a section document that does like an outline of the lecture, and then we jump into like different topics. So these are documents I make that really just kind of organize the class content, and then we do some examples. I can't promise that for E-17 I'm going to be having as detailed notes documents here to write on, mostly because I think E-17 we're going to be working some specific problems for the course. And then also just because there are differences in the content. So I'll probably put together some document that I'm going to present and write on the iPad during our sections. But these are kind of a more like, here's a whole lesson video as just a reference if it's helpful. Then my advice, so my teaching philosophy is like, I'm here to help you. I try to advocate for people to get points whenever possible. I'm not trying to like nickel and dime you. But yeah, I'm just here for support. And help me know what that looks like for you. So if there are resources that aren't helpful for you or are helpful for you, let me know. Like I very much love feedback and love like hearing from you to know what is actually making a difference and what isn't. Another thing is just try to maximize your grade on homework and participation because that's 30% of your class. The other 70% is exams, and so the exams are a little bit more of a free-for-all, but you have more control over the homework participation side of things. The other thing I'll say is take the practice problems pretty seriously because that's really where you're going to be practicing and developing your skills. Practice problems will be posted with the answer keys just for your own kind of edification and learning, and doing those should help you for the PSET level problems. The other thing is I think the most important section is going to be section 3. That's going to be like a month from now. But it's lecture 3 is when we first learn our like basic set of reactions for the course. And so I'm going to spend some time in sections talking about how do we actually study reactions? How do we kind of break down how to take in this new piece of information? Because it's not exactly the same as a lot of other information that you'll encounter in STEM classes. Last, just like reach out for help when and if you need it. Organic chemistry can be a lot, especially when you're doing this on top of working or other things in your life. So yeah. Last thing I want to do is just show you how to get to the Zoom for our class. So if you go to the course Canvas page and click on the Zoom option on the left, then it will take you to Gather, which Harvard uses to mediate most of its Zoom things. And then you'll just go to Colton's section and Help Room. So you'll hit the Join Zoom, and then that'll take you to our Zoom room. I will be recording the Zoom, so just know that. And the recorded Zoom will be posted on Gather. But also I like to use my like little OBS setup that you're seeing this video through. So I might post like doubly record it on OBS and post like a YouTube video link to it as well. Just because I think that this looks a little bit nicer than the basic Zoom recordings. But yeah, this has been a longer video than I thought. But I hope it was helpful just to kind of orient you to some things, to introduce myself and say hi. I hope that you're having a good week, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the first section and first lecture. Bye.